What's up, YouTube? Georgia Silver Hunter back with part 3 of our big mixed coin roll hunt, and this one should be a relatively short one. We've only got 10 rolls of quarters to get through, 3 Loomis wrapped, 7 customer wrapped. We've got a couple of different wrappers, which is always nice. And of course, back there, I've got those pennies waiting to be hunted in part 4. So with that, if you haven't caught parts 1 and part 2, make sure you do head on back, and I'll try to link to part 1 up here in the upper right-hand corner. And you can start from the beginning if you like. But with that, let's go ahead and jump into these quarters and let's see what we can find. So really quickly, before we open those first rolls, I did want to show you guys the Strike It Rich with Pocket Change book. I've mentioned it in the last couple of videos, but I've been focusing more on my own list, which I still have in the description down below. It's free for you to download and use, but I did want to call out the Strike It Rich book. I really do like this because it covers from pennies all the way up to, I think, dollars. And the main reason that I like it, as I'm trying to get up here to the quarters, is that it actually does show the years and the mint marks that you're looking for, and it's got great pictures of the individual errors or varieties that are out there. So this is a great book. It also lets you know the general value of a circulated and uncirculated version of the coin should you happen to find one. So I usually keep this book handy at all times as I'm coin roll hunting, because sometimes it's nice to refer back to the pictures. So with that, let's zoom way in here, and I'm going to go ahead and open up maybe one bank wrapped roll and one customer wrapped roll just to see what we're dealing with here. Is it all going to be kind of brand new quarters or good circulated quarters that we might get lucky and find some silver in? Like all other denominations, we can just edge hunt for that silver, and those super orange edges are always going to be kind of the newer stuff. As an example, I'll reach in there, and this should be a 2021 or better, but I guess it doesn't have to be. I lied, it's a 2017, but it's in gorgeous shape. A lot of times when they have edges like that, they are going to be our newer, like this guy, our newer like 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25s. So anyway, didn't see any silver. I'll go back through this here in a second, looking for our various die chips, DDOs, San Francisco Business Strike, San Francisco Proofs, all of that good stuff. Check out a customer roll here real quick. I made a mess as usual. So let's start with just this part. Looking for that super gray edge. We don't have one. So no silver there. And I would have heard it there. Didn't hear it there either. So I'll tell you what, let's put this over here. Let's hunt that first roll together as I'm making a mess. The other thing, and I didn't call it out, is the 2019 and 2020 West Point quarters. Here is one of the 2019s that you should be looking for. West Point quarters are 2 million per design, and rather than a P or a D, they are going to have that West Point mint mark. A lot of the 2019s and 2020s also do have some sort of DDR on them. I don't look too hard for them because they're kind of tough to spot, and I've just never spent that much time looking for them. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't, but this Azukari here, there's a doubling that you can find here in the earrings, and I'm just going to check this under the scope, and if I happen to find it, I will take the camera down and bring you over and show it to you. Now there's a DDR on this coin that I am dying to find, and it's an extra leaf that presents itself right about there in the corn, and I think it's on the Philly. I checked the Philly and the Denver, but again, in years and years of hunting these quarters, I have never ever found one. Now the Eleanor Roosevelt, oftentimes we'll find die chips up here in the hat, and a big die crack that kind of runs down through the hat there. Oftentimes you can see it just with like your iPhone or your camera. Let's see here. We've got our Harper's Ferry, looking for DDRs up in the windows. And that's one that you do kind of need a decent microscope or high-powered magnifying glass to see. Now, I don't check all of the Denver minted 23s. Like I just went by that Eleanor Roosevelt. I typically don't check that one. Now the 83, we're always looking for that die clash that is the, oh, now I forgot what it's called. It's, there's a name for it and I can't remember it, but he basically looks like he's drooling, like the drooling eagle or something like that. Spitting eagle, I think, is maybe what it's called. It's caused by a die clash. I don't know why I'm blanking on that all of a sudden. So here's a quarter. It actually just jumped out at me. I don't know if it was in roll 1 or roll 2, but I mentioned those San Francisco business strikes. There's our S mint mark. If it were silver, we would have a solid silver edge. What we don't, so we know it's clad. And we also know it's a business strike because if it were a proof, we would have a frosted George Washington and frosted lettering and frosted details back here in a very mirror-like finish. Now, the San Francisco business strikes do have a nicer finish than most Philly and Denver quarters. Oh, I just threw that back. We want to put that up here as a find. So they also will generally jump out at you just simply because they look nicer. And they were sold in rolls by the mint. A lot of them have made their way into circulation, and that's how they're being found. But once they've been heavily circulated, there's no real value there. And with them being lower mintage than the West Point quarters, you would assume they would be worth more than a West Point quarter, but you would be wrong. Now this one, the Dr. Mary Edwards Walker, I have found die chips over here in the 25 cents, and I have found die chips all up and down this sort of metal over there. I don't see any with the naked eye, and I do not see any under the scope. And I promise you we will not do this with every single roll, otherwise this video would be an hour long for just 10 rolls. I'm just trying to do something a little different here, bring you in for the whole ride for at least one roll, maybe two. Now, this particular coin, the Maya Angelou, there is a double earring, and there's one where there's like a die chip or a die crack through the bird, the mouth of the bird up there. It's another one of those. I've read about it, but I've never ever found one, so I always look for it. It's a 2020, which was always a W possibility. Now, the crossing the Delaware, lots to look for on here, mainly big die chips up here in the hat. Do I have one? No, I do not. The other one is a very minor DDR down here in the cuff of the raised arm there. And I did not see that while I had it under the scope. There is another one. All right, we'll do 5 more quarters here from roll number 1. And then we will be off and doing this on our own. And I'll bring you guys in when we find something. Now, here's the Kanaka Ole 2023 Philly. It looks like we got a die chip up there on the nose. But there's also metal that's left behind in the NQs of her name. And you can also find typically a die chip up there on the volcano or the mountain. But let me just double check this little. Yeah, this is very minor, but this would go for $1 or $2 on eBay. I'll zoom way in there, but you can see we've got a tiny little die chip right there on the tip of the nose. No need to put you under the scope for that, but I did check it and it is there. So find number 2. Really nice and beat up 67. I know there's one where there's a big die crack through her hair. That's another one I think that's in the Strike It Rich book that I have never found. All right, well that took us a long time to get through roll number 1. I'll go ahead and clean those up and continue getting through these rolls, and I'll bring you in at our next find. Here we've got another little die chip on the nose for our Kanaka Ole right there. So that's 2 of those on the hunt. All right, let's crack into roll 3 and 4 here. This will be the 2 Loomis rolls. Let me back out here so that you guys can actually see, just in case we come across something nice during the opening. Oh, this is neat. This might be the first one of these I've ever found. Is that Juliet Gordon Lowe? Get way in there. Which one is this? This is a 2025 Philly. So this is the first one of these for the channel, and that jumped out at me just by the edge. I mentioned that during the opening. That's pretty cool. So there was another one really shiny in there. Let's see if we got a couple of these. No, that's just another Eleanor Roosevelt. All right, sorting through roll number 4. And look at that. I was zoomed in a little too far, but we got ourselves a W, which is pretty cool here. Roll number 4, we got a Marsh Billings Rockefeller from Vermont. That nice big old W mint mark. We also have the V75 Privy there, which is really, really nice. W quarters used to be really easy to find. This may be my second or third one on the entire year, so excited to finally see that. And apologies, my camera just, sometimes it focuses and sometimes it does not. I'm trying to figure out why. Those W quarters back in the day when they first came out, like $60, $70, $80 for some of them. They've kind of settled in. Last time I checked, maybe around $8, $10, $12. I think the River of No Return may be still commanding a little bit more money than that. But either during the wrap-up or whatnot, I'll have put a eBay listing to show you guys what they're currently going for, just so you have a reference. Okay, well, here is roll number 5. Try not to make too big of a mess as I get this out. I would love to one of these days do that and just have silver fall out of the roll. It's been a good long while in quarters. Here is roll number 6. All right, no silver. For that die clash right there under the beak. Now, funny enough, I'd heard about that coin almost my entire childhood and never found one. In the first year or two of coin roll hunting, I came across one. It's the only one I have ever found. This one's typically really easy to find the die chip up there in the hat. Typically. Although I am seeing that one less and less these days. Here's one of the newer 2025 Phillies. I already have this one. Stacy Park Milburn. I have no idea if there's a DDR or a DDO on this one. I may put that aside and check it out under the scope a little bit more. All right, here's roll number 6. Now, this one is not known by a lot of people, but there is a DDR on the ram's neck there on the 2012 Denali. I've found one or two of them in all the years I've been coin roll hunting, and there's great pictures of it in the Strike It Rich with Pocket Change book. Here comes roll number 8. All right, well, we might have something on this. Let me check under the scope. No, it's like almost the beginnings of a snow on the roof. We got a little snow on the window. We have no DDR and what almost is a leaky bucket. I can probably show you this just underneath the camera. But right here you can see above the window, that big hunk of metal, that's not supposed to be there. So we call that the snow on the window. Oftentimes you'll get it up here on the ridge lines of the roof. We call that the snow on the roof. Now this is the 2015 Philadelphia, Nebraska homestead. There's like 86 or 100 or something like that DDRs down in the windows. I checked for those, they're not there. When I hold that in the light, you can see like a little bit of indentation where that was almost a leaky bucket. That would have been where a die chip was left down underneath that bucket. But pretty cool. I'll hang on to it for that little bit of snow there in the window. And keep on heading through this roll. Okay, here's, I'll put them right there so you can see them. Rolls number 9 and rolls number 10. Roll number 10. First out of the gate, number 9. Again, always a couple of shinies. We got to always anticipate there being a couple of 23s through 25s in there. Last chance for some silver. I'm not seeing it and I didn't hear it, so that's a no. Here's roll number 9. Where'd you go? Here you are. I'm just checking that for DDRs and die chips. Nice 2020s, just no luck on the W's. The other one I would love to find is this 2021 Philly. It's where that entire building is kind of smeared across the coin. It's called the, I think they actually call it the burning building. Error. Never found one of those, but I've seen folks on Facebook and such that have. All right, so this is roll number 10, the home stretch, and then we'll get to a little wrap up. And then move on to those pesky pennies. And part number 4. Our first bicentennial on the hunt. Normally we come away with a whole bunch of those, but only 10 rolls. Maybe it's pretty normal. All right, well that does it. Let me get these cleaned up. We'll do a quick wrap up. Well, that's going to wrap us up for this little $10 quarter hunt. And honestly, I'm not too disappointed in this. We did pull a fair number of quarters considering it was only 10 rolls. To do the quick recap, we did get one Philadelphia bicentennial. No value there. I just like pulling them. Most of them do go back to the bank, but the really nice ones I still hang on to. This will go in my women's quarters book, the Juliet Gordon Law, or Low, I guess, 2025 Philly. This is the first one I've found, and you can tell it's not in the best of shape, but it'll hold a spot for at least right now. I'm hoping we'll see more of those in future quarter hunts. We did have a couple of the Kanaka Oles, not in great shape, but both of them did have this little die chip on the nose, and I'll just put it under the scope. I know we didn't do it earlier. But there it is. It's itty bitty. That almost looks like a die scratch or something like that kind of maybe materialized into a little die chip there on the end of the nose. But we got 2 of those. The snow on the window, again, really quickly under the scope since we didn't do it earlier. But right there, that big hunk of metal is not supposed to be there. And if I can find a comp on eBay, I'll go ahead and throw it up on the screen. I can't imagine that would fetch more than a couple of bucks, but I've been wrong before, so trust whatever I put up on the screen if I do happen to find a comp. The San Francisco Business Strike. I'm always excited to find these, especially when they're 2019-2020, because typically you find W quarters when they look a little shiny and nice. But I'll take this American Memorial Park San Francisco Business Strike. And the most valuable coin we found in this little hunt, there you see that W West Point Mint, V75 Privy, 2020 Marsh Billings Rockefeller. And I did check eBay. This coin in raw condition and circulated condition going for anywhere from about $10 to $20 depending on the buyer. So pretty cool. I don't really sell my W's too often. Typically these get flipped up or thrown in rolls and I just hang on to them. So all in all, real impressed with these quarters from the bank. And of course, that just wraps up part 3 of our video. And as I said in the beginning, we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up and get into part 4 here shortly. So to wrap this one up, if you did enjoy this video, please do drop on down below, click that like button and leave me a comment. Let me know if you like the new format. Let me know if you like me breaking these into parts so you get a little bit at a go. Just any kind of feedback you have for the channel, I'd really appreciate it. If you're new to the channel and you like coin roll hunts, or if you're just joining me here on part 3, make sure you go back and watch part 1 and part 2. But also make sure you click on that subscribe button and then click on that little bell and select all so you get notified each and every time I release a new video. I'd really appreciate it. Special shout out to all my channel members. Thank you guys for supporting the channel each and every month. I really appreciate it. And with that, hope you guys are doing well. Take care, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.